Hi, in this video we're going to look at more carefully the unit circle which we use to generate the graphs of sine x, cos x and tan x. So the unit circle has its centre on the origin. This point will be 1, 0, so this length here will be 1. Okay, this length here is 0, 1, this length here is minus 1, 0, and this length here is 0, minus 1. Now if we start here and going in the positive direction, then the angle here will be considered to be positive. So we're going in the anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise is positive. Okay, we go through the 4 quadrants. If we go back the other way, okay, then the angle we have to consider is this one here, which we've not actually marked, but this angle here will be negative. So if you go clockwise, the angle is negative from 0. Okay, and the angles start at this particular point here. Let's just go into the first quadrant. Let's just do 30 degrees. Okay, this is 30 degrees. This angle is 30 degrees in the first quadrant. So this length here is 1. Okay, we know from our trigonometry that this side we can get by doing the sine of the angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse, but because the hypotenuse is 1, this length here is the same as sine of 30 degrees. It's actually equal to 0.5. Okay, and then similarly, this side here, this length here from O to N is going to be cos theta, because cos of 30 is the adjacent over 1. But because the hypotenuse is actually 1, then this side is length cos theta. Okay, and if you remember rightly, this length here generates the graph of sine theta. Right. Now, if this is the origin, this is positive and this is positive. Therefore, angles in the first quadrant, sine and cos, are always positive in the first quadrant. It doesn't matter where I move this through. The first quadrant is from 0 to 90. Sine and cos will always be positive. Therefore, also, because tan is the same as sine divided by cos theta, tan is also positive. So in this quadrant, all 3 ratios are positive. Now, when we move into the second quadrant, let's take that angle there, 120. Okay, then the angle 120 is measured from this axis here. Okay, and we can, in order to do this, we can actually consider the angle here, this one here. I'm going to just click this, that will actually mark it on. This app I will put in the notes of the video. Right, so this is 60 degrees, okay, but I have to remember sine is positive, but cos, because it's got this side of the origin, will be negative. So sine is positive, cos is negative, and because tan is sine divided by cos, tan is also negative. So in the second quadrant, the only thing which is positive is sine. Okay, and that includes everything anywhere in the second quadrant. Okay, let's now go into the third quadrant. So this is the third quadrant. So now looking at angles between 180 and 270. Let's take this one here, 220. So the angle is measured from here all the way around to this point here. But again, we can see we get an equivalent acute angle. So if we click this little box here, we can get that acute angle. Okay, and we can see that it is actually 40 degrees. So this angle here is actually 40 degrees. Okay, and we can get that angle by doing 180 plus 40, that will make 220. Okay, so to calculate the angle in Q3, we can just do 180 plus the acute angle will give me the whole of the angle. And this is important when we're solving equations. Right, now cos is negative, but sine is also negative because it's going downwards. But because tan is sine divided by cos, sine divided by cos means that tan is actually positive. So cos and sine and cos are negative here, and tan is positive. Okay, I'm just going to go back into the second quadrant for a minute. Let's just uncheck that one and go back into this one here. If I wanted to find the angle here, and if this was 32, then what I'd have to do is do 180 minus 32, and that will give me what the actual obtuse angle that point P is at. Okay, so going into the fourth quadrant, so we're now looking at angles between 270 and 360. So take this one, theta is equal to 312. Okay, we'll click this one here because that will give the acute angle. We can see that this angle here is 48. Okay, and we can get 312 by doing 360 minus 48, which gives me 312. Okay, cos, this line here is cos, is now positive, but sine is negative. Okay, because cos tan is sine divided by cos, tan is also negative. So therefore, cos is positive in this quadrant. This is what we're saying. Okay, and we can use this idea to solve trig equations. Okay, so angles that go anti-clockwise are considered to be positive. Angles that go clockwise, sort of counterintuitive, are considered to be negative. Now, if I click this, we get this idea of sine, all, tan, cos. So in the first quadrant, which is this one here, all three ratios are positive. In the second quadrant, I said sine is positive, the others two are negative. In the third quadrant, tan is positive and sine and cos are negative. And in the fourth quadrant, cos is positive, but sine and tan are negative. Now, a way to remember this is South Asian Tennis Club. South Asian Tennis Club, or you from South America, South American Tennis Club. Some people prefer to use, you hear cast being mentioned quite often. You just need to remember a way that gives you the letter. So in the first quadrant, all three are positive. In the second, only sine is positive, and in the third, only tan is positive, and in the fourth, only cos is positive. Angles that go that way are positive, the angles that go that way are negative. And therefore, you can use the unit circle to solve trigonometric equations, which we're going to do in later videos. Okay, I apologize for this video being very long. The GeoGebra app is in the link underneath the video in YouTube. I hope you've understood, and I thank you very much for watching.